Today on Piggy Power I'm going to show you how to get rid of your standard naff P Bush on the front wishbone of a 306 and replace it with one of these. Budget P Bush upgrade. Nice. Yay! Welcome to Piggy Power. As I mentioned, your standard P Bushes, they're pretty naff. Even if you replace them with a new one, they do wear out super quick, and part of the reason you probably see that is it's not like a complete bush in there. It's sort of got gaps in it. Come on, focus. There we go. So it's got gaps in the bush, as you can see through, and they wear out the cuts from removal. You can replace them with one of these. Now these are not expensive. Powerflex ones are about 80 quid for a pair. Lifetime guarantee, admittedly. But these are about 9 quid, 10 quid each. So I'll put the part number on screen. There it is. And I will write that down for you in the description as well. So that's the part number. So if at this point you know how to replace your P Bush on your wishbone and your 306, then fair enough. Just go and get some of these and do it. But if you need to know how to replace them, keep watching. If this has been helpful just by showing you which one to get, this is from a Zara Picasso, I think the partner ones are the same, then please hit like and subscribe. That'd be great. But otherwise, keep watching. Now I'm going to show you the tools you'll need to actually do the replacement. You're going to need some pry bars, they're always handy. 17mm spanner, 16mm spanner, 16mm on a ratchet, 18mm and ratchet for that. Long neck pliers, can't remember what that's for, probably something important. Wire brush, hammer, some thread lock, a blunt punch, that's pretty important, a sort of blunt-ish chisel, 13mm socket, some grips, something to get everything in, and this is also quite important. Why is this important? This is an M10 by 1.25 fine thread. Now the reason you're going to need this will become obvious. Let me show you. On the bottom of the original P Bush is an M8 bolt. On the bottom of this one is a bigger one, it's an M10. But it's a fine thread, fine pitch, 1.25, so M10 by 1.25, and it'll need to be about 15mm long, not any longer than that, and it'll foul the inside of the bush. Of course you'll need some bushes too. So what you're going to do now is what I'm going to do is jack your vehicle up, put it onto axle stands, make it nice and safe, get yourself a brew, and let's get tooling, cracking, fixing, P-bushing. Oh, one of these two, either this or a hacksaw. It's got a 1mm thick cutting disc grinder. Sorry, forgot about that. That'll be really useful later. You can do it without this if you haven't got it. You can just punch them off with a hammer, but it makes it easier. So first thing you want to attack is your ball joint and the bolt that holds the ball joint on or stops it slipping out anyway. 17mm this side and a 16mm the other side. What I suggest is you hold the spanner with this side and you undo the nut from the other side with your 16mm deep socket. Remove that 16mm nut. You'll notice that's the bolt you try and knock out. Now these, they do have a little end of which you can hit with a nut, as opposed to say one here, where it's got the thread to the end and you damage it. So you can hit it with a hammer once or twice. Or 4 times. If you find it's not budging, let's give it a spray with some WD-40, which is a penetrating oil, as a response to something else the other day. And I'm going to get my 17 and I'm going to try and turn that bolt. Now it's free. Okay, so I'm going to get the hammer now and give it a smack again. Right, and it's out stuck to my socket. And that's what it should look like. I often will put them back onto, although we'll clean that up, back onto the nut we'll clean that up before we refit it. And then you know which bolt goes with nuts. Remember we talked about this earlier? We're going to get that in the gap behind the ball joint. So the ball joint on the hub, what the ball joint slots into, has a little split that holds them like that. So you want to put the chisel in there to open it up, and that allow the ball joint to drop down. Like that. Let me give you a little bit up close shot for that, so you can see what I mean. So that's what I mean. Chisel in the slot in the back, opens up the hub, and that allows the ball joint to drop down. So what I'm going to do now, you're going to see it from a further distance, but I'm going to get the lever in, and I'm going to try and lever the two apart. A nice big bar across there with a mate jumping on it will help this. Alright, so we've let it soak for a little while, and we've knocked a slightly larger chisel in there as well. And then with a little bit of pressure just against the hub in this direction, caliper's an easy one to push. Push in slightly and just hit the edge of the arm. Gets it moving. He says. There we go. A little bit of leverage in there. Nearly out. Keep pushing in on the hub. Get your lever bar in a good amount. She's nearly out now. She's nearly out. You can just see her dropping down. So we're just going to square this hub a little bit and then get the lever in there again. The other thing with keeping the pressure on the hub, push the hub to the rear of the car for the ball joint to come forward, is this side isn't so bad. So another reason for keeping pressure on the hub, this side isn't so bad, but we don't have these touching drive shafts here, pulling them out and stuff. On the other side, the near side, passenger side, you might find that if you pull the hub out, you'll pull the drive shaft out and your gearbox will go on the floor. You can do this job without having to touch all that. So just make sure you keep a little bit of pressure on the hub. It helps the ball joint drop, stops the gearbox oil coming out. So next job is to remove the 18mm at the front. Rear or front, it doesn't really matter which order you're going to do these in. So that's the one we're aiming for next. Now there's a little bit more room on the passenger side because there's not an engine in the way. You can get a gun in if you've got a buzz gun on the passenger side. Don't have this luxury here, so well, we can't do that. So old school, get a ratchet on it and undo it. Oh, there we go. To be fair, they're usually tighter than that. Okay, so you see back there, there's our 16mm that you're going to need your spanner for, and underneath I'll be undoing it with a 16mm socket, and then there's one just under here, there, it's a 13mm, so I can do those both from underneath, and you'll see quite quickly the nut starts spinning. So, spanner on the nut. If you've got a cheap gun, go ahead and use it. Same thing. Just gonna put the nut on the bolt so I know where it comes from. Switch to a 13mm for this one here that sits in the bottom. It's the M8 that we're going to change for an M10. You done it. Well done. Now we just pull the arm out basically. Try not to pull the hub forwards, as I said before about the gearbox oil. So just push the arm down a little bit and wiggle it out. There we go. And there it is. So there's our old tired wishbone bush. You can see there's a lot of movement in that. And you probably wouldn't notice it that much on the road, like it's not knocking or anything, but it would have an effect. Could potentially fail the MOT as well. It's not great, that. Not good on tyre wear, so we're going to whip that off. So it's worthwhile taking note of the angle that the P Bush is on the arm. You'll notice that basically it's flat level with the arm. So if you were to refit the old bush in a random position, you'd be putting some tension on the bush that is unwarranted. So we don't want to do that. So we notice it's nice and flat, which is good. Now you could try and just smack this off, you could burn it off. I tend to like to put a little cut through it just there with the grinder, or you could use a hacksaw and then open it up with a chisel and it'll just literally fall off. What you don't want to do is cut through it too far into the actual stub itself. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. And that has gone all the way through. So just make sure it's opened up. Give it a tap and it'll start pinging off. Like that. Okay, that's not bad. And he just caught the very edge there. It's not a bad cut if you ask me. Okay, so the new one. Let's get our M10 by 1.25 out of the way. Just comparisons. Once again, you can see a big difference in them. So this is going to go on like that. Okay, now basically you can hit it on with a hammer. You can use a press. I would normally use a press, but not everyone has a press. And I've done these with hammers plenty of times. So you're going to get your P Bush and you're going to tap on that rim there. Don't tap on this bit. Tap on that inner sleeve. And you want to just get it nice and flat, lined up with the arm. So yeah, so you want to get it nice and flat. Well, that travelling plane in line with the arm. So it's all on one flat level plane. So I'm just going to have a look down it. Make sure I'm happy. Give a little tap on the top. Just to get it started. Which hasn't started very well. But it looks pretty good, the level plane. I'm relatively happy with that. So what I can do now is just hit it on a bit harder. And make sure that it's going on nice and square. It's not going off at an angle or getting stuck as it's going down. So what I'm going to do now is get a piece of wood here, block of wood, and then keep firing this down until it's basically at the same position it was with the old bush. Done. Right, so there is your upgraded OEM style P Bush. Brilliant. So now refit in the reversal that you did it. That sounds a bit easy, and yes it is. So I'm just going to show you how to wiggle this in. Getting the bolts on here are the trickiest bits. Yeah, this isn't saying how it should be done, this is how I do it. Okay, as I'm saying this is the perfect way, but this is how I do it. all my bolts, I'm just going to give a little bit of spray of freon oil, and I cleaned up our pinch bolt for the ball joint. If you haven't been replaced, if it's a good time to replace your ball joint now, if it's a bad ball joint, but I just cleaned it up with a bit of Scotch pad and some WD-40. And I've just sprayed this front bush as well. Again, good time to replace it, but yeah, don't wear like the other bushes. Just a bit of oil on it, WD-40, just to help slide it in. Okay, so this is how we do it. I wiggle that P bush in the back first, somewhere near, and then wiggle the front bush in. And then the rear one, the front one first, so our big 18mm. Just get it started, don't leave it too tight. Lift up the ball joint as high as you can behind the hub. So the hub is this, and the ball joint as high as you can without interfering with the hub. And then this P bush at the back, we're going to run the tiny little, well, it used to be a small one. We're going to put our little M10 now into the underside of it. So your P bush sits like that, and that's the bolt there you want to be doing. Now that's where my little, I find that these sometimes come loose. Perhaps it's because of the fine thread, so just a little bit of thread lock, but not much, just a little bit. And you might need to run the lever in through there and push down on the top of the P bush like that. You see what I'm doing there? And then I can get the M10 bolt through underneath into my thread. Can't see it very well, I might have to just go underneath. Excuse me. The arm is as flat as it will try and be. There we go, that's how easy it should be. Okay, so that's a 17. I'm not going to do it up tight, I'm just going to pinch it just to help us hold the arm in position, because you could ruin those threads. And now what I'm going to do is run the 16mm that's at the back there on its way through. So let's bring you down a little bit, and hopefully at the back there, just in the distance, you'll see the 16mm, this one, and it's going to come pop up. What you need to do is get your lever and get the lever on top of the bracket that holds the anti-roll bar. So you hear it pop on, that's great. So basically you want to keep that pressure on while doing up that bolt underneath. Get the nut on, spanner on the nut. And do it nice and tight. Alright, and then the one at the bottom, our new M10, you can do that up with a spanner. Doesn't need to be mega tight, but spanner tight's fine. Right, good. Tricky bit done, guys, tricky bit done. And we're going to fire the front bolt in until it just pinches. Okay, no more than that. And then turn your steering that way so you can see what you're doing down there. I'm going to put my head down there. Way, here we go. And then I'm going to push down, because this is not done up yet, this is nice and easy. and push down on my arm just with my right hand, or your left if it's the other side. Going to line up the hub and slot the ball joint in, and it just goes in. If you need to, little tap with a hammer up, and the ball joint goes in at a slight angle. There we go, we're in. Boring bit. Just get the nut and bolt through it. A little bit of copper slip wouldn't hurt on those. Tap to send it home. We've just done up the ball joint underneath here. It's a 16mm deep socket, and it's likely to spin, so you use a 17mm spanner just to stop it from spinning. Now this is possibly the most crucial part of the whole build. The amount of people that fit these wishbones, they tighten everything up while the suspension's drooped. You're going to wear out your suspension a lot quicker doing it that. Bring in a jack. Get your jack under the ball joint here on the arm, not on the disc, on the arm, and raise the suspension, so jack up on that lower ball joint until the weight of that front corner is taken on the jack. So my axle stand is just there, there's just a tiny bit of movement, but now what you've got is you've got the weight on the suspension, it's not drooped. That front 18mm, we now do that up. The rear P Bush is already positioned by the way you've pushed it on. Ball joint doesn't matter, but that 18mm at the front makes a massive difference. I'm not going underneath, because obviously your jack is holding the weight of the car, but there is an axle stand there in case the jack fails. Okay, nice and tight. And that sets that bush in position, you see, and it pinches it in. If you did it at a droop position, when you're in driving position, it'd be like this, and it'd be twisted. And then it goes to compression, and it'd be really twisted, and it makes those front bushes fail much quicker. So then relax, and then all you got to do, fit your wheel, and drive. So if this has been useful, please smash the like and subscribe buttons, and please even hit the Patreon page, right on my face. No one's done so yet, so you never know, maybe. It would help with videos like this, producing them, making better video quality, better place to work, and more time for me to edit and do things like sound quality control and stuff like that. Anyway, thanks for watching to this point, I hope it's been helpful. Till next time!